Welcome to Life Beyond B.S, where we ditch the belief systems and the bullshit and get real about life. Here it's about awareness, choice, and creating joy that actually lasts. No perfection, just honest talk and powerful change. I'm your host, Heather McNally, and let's get into it. Hi, friends, and welcome back to Life Beyond B.S, where we go beyond the belief systems and, the bullshit that society tells us who we are and what we are. I'm Heather McNally, your host, and today I'm super excited to introduce you to a new friend of mine, someone I align with very deeply. Her name is Shelly Besancon. Shelly is a weight release and body trust coach who works with women over 40 who are tired of fighting their bodies and ready to come home to themselves. She's a storyteller, a 2-5 manifesting generator, and someone who has done the deep work and loves to teach other women how to actually live in their bodies and trust the guidance system they were born with. Shelly believes your body came with an internal GPS and that most women were simply never taught how to use it. Her coaching is rooted in body-based healing and building genuine body trust. And she's passionate about helping women move away from diet culture, quick fixes, and the idea that they need to be fixed at all. When she's not coaching, you'll find her on her mini farm with her husband, their goats, ducks, and a pig, surrounded by over 200 houseplants and fully committed to her love of minions and frogs. She's a proud mom of two and a grandma, and she brings all of that big, full life into everything she does. And I can tell you from talking to her, I feel that. It's amazing. So, Shelly, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Heather. It's a pleasure to be here. Very happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And I just want to ask you, tell me everything that's in your bio. I love it. I feel it very deeply. But I want to hear a little bit about who you feel you are at your heart and soul level.
Mm. That, let's see, heart and soul is something that I've always kind of naturally had very big energy. And when I was young, that big energy actually scared me a lot. And so I tamped it down. And I would have to say, over the last 14 years, after losing my first husband, and that's a whole tragic story there, but I decided to dive in and find out who I was. And one of the things that I found out was that my big energy is one of my superpowers. And so I started to embrace that. I started to understand that that big energy, and because I feel probably deeper than a lot of people, that I'm willing to feel those hard emotions. And even going through all the stuff that I did go through throughout my life, people would ask me, how are you so happy? And deep down, I think that that's part of who I am, is I choose
Mhm.
intentionally to get myself into a vibration that makes me happy, but also I'm not afraid to be happy, but also kind of feel like shit,
Mm.
and being able to be okay with feeling that. And so in that work that I've done over the last 14 years, I found a deep love for myself and a deeper understanding of myself. And that is, I think that that is the most magical gift that I ever gave to myself.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that kind of pulls in a lot of what I do. And I believe a lot of what you do is like becoming aware of how you're feeling, your emotions, but also in your body is so incredibly important. We need to understand and feel that intuition, feel whether our body is going, hell yes, or oh my God, no. And there's a reason for it. So I think that's so incredibly important. And then, like you said, choice. Choice is your power. And then when you know who you are and you accept that and you not just accept it, but you own it, that is absolutely the most powerful thing you can do. So I love that so much. And I have to ask before we go deeper, because we're going deep, you mentioned your love for minions and frogs. So I really want to talk about that because I call myself a dork at heart. I love things. We talked about how we both have a mutual love for like mini versions of things. And I love frogs. Tell me a little bit about this.
Well, it kind of started as a child. I would play with frogs all the time. We used to fill up buckets full of toads and frogs when we would find them.
I
We
did
lived
that
in
too.
Montana, and we would did you? Oh, and I would, just I would just loved them, and I they just would always they filled me with so much silly joy. And I started to collect a few of them. And then when I met my second husband, and his dad thought I was like the most amazing thing that ever walked on
Mhm.
this earth. And so whenever he would be on yard sales and stuff, he started bringing them. He's like, "Oh, I found this." And so he started bringing them. And then I started collecting them every time we went on a trip. I would come home with a new frog.
Mhm.
But when I looked at the frog, it would have to create that feeling of joy inside of me. Because there's sometimes people like, "Here's a frog," and I'm like, "That's ugly. That is not coming home with me. That he
Yeah.
doesn't have good energy." And
Yeah.
so it's like I had to just fill me with a yes, like we say, the hell yes. Or
Mhm.
and so it kind of grew, and now I've probably got at least 1,000 frogs all over my house.
I love that.
But
And
the
I'm a
minions,
collector too.
yeah, well, the minions, they started with, of course, with the movies, and the movies started coming out when the kids came out, and they just brought out that inner child in me. And so even once the kids moved out, we still watch the Minion movies, and I collect Minions, and I have a ton of them. I have ornaments for Christmas. I have them all over. I have stickers of Minions. There's a Minion, 3 stack of Minions on my
Love
thing
it.
back there. I don't know if you can see it, but
Love it.
I
And
love them. They just make you just giddy.
what I think is so fun about this is that, first of all, who says coming into adulthood means you need to lose that excitement energy and that I want to play and I want to have fun. If something fills you with joy and it's not a bad thing, it's not harmful to anybody, that's so beautiful. So I have things I collect too. And I just think that is so much fun. And I love that. Like that you're openly like, I love minions, I love frogs, I collect them, I have them everywhere, and they bring you joy. So
Yeah,
that right there alone is a statement on no matter how old you are, you need to have that thing that brings you joy. You need to have that thing that fills you up, that makes you smile, that makes you feel young at heart, and go searching for it. And I think that's so
yeah,
beautiful. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah. One of the things I want to know is what was a personal turning point for you? When did you realize that the way I've been relating to my body, because you do body work, isn't working anymore?
The biggest transformation in learning how to do energy work came from a very tragic experience that was probably the biggest blessing that I ever had in my entire life. And a little backstory, I was married to my first husband for 15, just shy of 15 years. He was the kind of man that he liked to fight to hurt. If he was in an argument with you, he made sure that you were belittled, you were demeaned,
Mhm.
you were pushed down to where you needed to be.
Mhm.
And he was an alcoholic. He was also a meth addict. And I came from a religious background. So it was like, you're married for better or worse. You made your bed, you must lie in it, that kind of experience. And over the years, there was never a day that he was sober.
Mhm.
And so when he was drinking hard alcohol, he was downright mean. And one of the things that he did was he would always tell me, "I would rather die than hurt you." In his own way, he loved me and he loved the kids. He was a pretty good dad. But he, in his mind, he thought he was a better man on alcohol, but he also thought that he wasn't hurting me with the way he was talking to me. And he would hold every mistake that he ever thought that I did. Not that they were mistakes, but if he
Mhm.
thought they was a mistake, he would keep them on hand all the time. It would be like he'd pull them out of his pockets as like, "I'm going to remind you of all these things. And if I don't remind you, you're never going to learn your lesson." So I recognized really early that that created huge emotional responses in me. And I didn't like those feelings. They would come up and but I couldn't voice them because it really wasn't safe to voice them. So I shut off my voice and I internalized it. And there's other experiences of that, but throughout that marriage, not realizing that I was living in chronic stress. I was living in constant survival. I was constantly being hyper aware of making sure my surroundings were a certain way so it didn't set him off, making sure my kids were safe, making sure that I didn't say certain things. And so if I did say things that he would be like, oh, I need to correct your behavior. And so in my internal head was, no, you're just a dumbass. Oh, you're such an idiot. So there was a lot of, I'm smiling. I'm so happy you're here. And inside I'm going, I can't stand you. Get away from me. Just, so I became somebody else to survive that marriage. And I didn't like who that was. So in 2011, I got introduced to a manifestation cruise. And it was the first time that I stood up to him and said, I'm going on this cruise. It was a free cruise. All I had to do was come up with airfare. So I just basically said, I don't care what you say. I'm going on this cruise because everything inside of me said, you're going to go. You need to go to this cruise. So I went on this cruise, and for 3 full days, I had no contact with him. And I felt my whole soul come alive. And it was like, I even had some energy work. I had a man do energy work. He was doing muscle testing and different stuff. He goes, how is it that your body is functioning at about 4%? He goes, but you're absolutely vibrant. And I knew it was because I didn't have to monitor my actions. I could be me. And I was like, I really like me. And I started to notice again that when I would start to talk to someone, and I would look up, and there would be like 20 people standing there just staring at me, listening. And it's like, this is who I am. And I wanted her to come back out. And so a month later, a long story that I'll just kind of shorten, he had started to get really bad, but I started to really stand up for myself. And I'm like, you're never touching me again. You're never going to hurt me again mentally. You're not going to talk bad to me. I'm no longer going to be bowing down to you. And when my 10-year-old son at the time started to scream at him, who this little boy was the sweetest little thing, never yelled at anybody, he started screaming at his dad about why he was so mean to his mom. And it's like, that great big huge light bulb that goes on. And I just looked at him and I'm like, we're done. And I said, ignore your dad. Let me make you some lunch. And I just wrapped my arms around this sweet little boy. And I was like, I'm done. And he came around the corner and he looked at me and he said, I have never been so angry that I wanted to harm myself. And I looked at him and I said, then that shit would be on you, because don't you dare put that on me. A week later, I told him I wanted a divorce. And he came home and demanded that we fix our marriage on his terms. And I actually laughed at him. And I said, you have no more access to me. And that was when he lost control. And he physically abused me, completely beat the shit out of me. And my oldest called 911. And to hear that little voice saying, my dad is beating up my mom. What ended up after that was he went and grabbed the 22, went out into the garage. A few minutes later, where we were on the phone with the police, he ended his life with a 12 gauge shotgun. That was the biggest pivotal point in my life. And I made a vow that I would never throw my anger at another person because it was downright rude. And I had to do a lot of work to really understand the anger, the emotion of anger. So after quite a bit of healing, I really got to put that to the test one day. 2 years later, I met my husband. We were dating, and he did something that should not have warranted the anger that came up in my body. It came on so strong, so fast, it was just like, it was painful how much anger came up. But I had been doing other work prior to that, but it was like my conscious prefrontal cortex was like, okay, he didn't do anything wrong. Why am I so angry? I'm like, this doesn't make sense. It's not matching. So I literally went and hid from him in a closet so he couldn't find me. And I'm like, I'm going to sit here until I understand what it really is. And the action that he had taken that triggered it was like just so minuscule. But it was something my first husband had done for so many years that was associated with anger, that it was associated with backlash, that it was associated with so many other things. And when I sat there and it all came up and it was like, this is him. And it was like, ah, it was almost a relief that it was like, okay, now I understand it. And so that anger, it was mine and I was owning it. This lives inside of me. And I was never going to fling it on anybody else. And so I went on a mission to really start to practice feeling good, feeling angry, to be able to go, oh, my body is feeling angry. Let's put my hand on, let me give it some love. You need to be felt. Come up and really feel it, turn it up all the way, let it finish its process.
This is so important because so many people do what you were doing before. You were shoving everything down. You weren't acknowledging it. You weren't letting yourself feel. And so you weren't dealing with it. And you had the stress on you. And so you were hurting your own body and your own mind. But to be able to learn how to feel something is so incredibly important. And people are scared of feeling things. But what we have to understand is what you did in that moment is amazing because you felt and you let your so our amygdala is that thing gets fired off and we're like angry and then the more it's fired off, the more we go with it, the more we let it rule, the
Yeah,
easier it is to trigger. But if
yeah,
you start to interrupt the pattern of the anger and make a moment, a conscious choice to become aware of what it is and feel the feeling, but let that prefrontal cortex come back on board and shut the amygdala down and say, okay, does this even make sense? That's so powerful.
yeah. Well, what happened after that was it was very fascinating because once I was able to feel it, then I did something else. I forgave my first husband. I forgave him for those things. I forgave the man.
Mhm.
And I felt the relief of that anger. And so when I went and found my husband, he asked me, he wasn't my husband, we were dating at the time. And he says, where were you? He goes, I was looking all over for you. And I said, well, I hid from you. And he's like, well, why? And I said, well, this is why. And I explained the situation. He goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. He goes, that was so I said, you didn't do anything wrong. And I said, I need you to know that. I said, it was not what you did that was, there was nothing there. It just touched something that was a wound inside of me. And I said, he goes, well, why didn't you come yell at me? And I said, that wouldn't have solved anything. I said, because I need to be able to let this go. And he says, well, we would have yelled back and forth. I said, then I wouldn't have talked to you for 2 weeks. And he goes, oh, no, 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 you go take all the time you need.
And it's that it's awareness, but it's a conscious choice. My husband and I
Yeah,
got in a little bit of an argument almost a year ago now that he was the things that he was saying, they weren't like awful or anything. It was, but he was saying things not typical for him, a little bit out of anger. And I kind of got annoyed with him, and then I got angry, and I was like, well, you know what? You get to make the choice on how you're going to behave, and blah, 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 blah. And then I started getting like letting myself ride with the anger. And all of a
yeah,
sudden, I had to stop myself, and I went, oh crap. Exactly what I'm telling him he's doing, I'm doing. Okay,
yeah,
time to shut down the the anger and the back and forth and say, all right, so I'm pointing out that you're not making that your choice is to say this when I'm doing exactly the same thing as I'm telling you that. So I was like, all right, I gotta take this anger offline and just have that conversation because what does it do? Like you said, then we wouldn't talk for 2 weeks. It's just
yeah,
gonna dig at and things like that that happen over and over and over, dig at the relationship. You need to have the communication. So good for you.
yeah. Well, I started to play with it after that.
Mm,
I actually, whenever I'd feel anger come up, it'd be like, oh, here it is again.
mm,
So I would have like a dramatic temper tantrum. If
Mhm.
I felt like rolling on the floor and going, ah, I would do that. I would just
Mhm.
scream, I would rant, and I would rage. But my husband would, at first, he would go like trying to rescue me, come in and fix it. A lot of men like to do that. And I would turn around and yell at him. I said, leave me alone. This is mine. I'm fixing it myself. I'm letting it come out. I never had temper tantrums
Yeah.
as a kid. I didn't feel safe to do it. So I'm like, I'm having a childish tantrum and I'm blowing it up almost so out of proportion that it is almost humorous
Mhm.
because of how I do it. And so over the time of doing that, they started to dwindle. They quit coming up. They don't need to be seen as often. And
Mhm.
interesting thing, my husband witnessed me doing this so many times that there was one time that he came into the house. He was in a tizzy over something and he was ranting and raving. And I went to say something to him. I don't even remember what it was about. And I said something to him and he turns around and looks at me and he goes, leave me alone. This is mine. And I started laughing so dang hard
Yeah.
because I'm like, how long have you been wanting to throw that at me? And he goes, a long time. And I go, it felt pretty good, didn't it? Because
My own words
owning our
coming back.
emotions,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
But when we own our own emotions, there's a freedom in that.
Mhm.
And there's a side effect that happened unbeknownst to me because when I was doing all this emotional work, not just with anger, with everything,
Mm.
the side effect was that my body started healing because it was releasing all this stuff. And I wasn't doing it to heal my body. I was doing it just to feel better, to understand. And if you've ever read the book Molecules of Emotion by Dr. Candace Pert, amazing book because she actually has studied emotions and how they are chemicals that are released into the body.
Mhm.
When they attach to certain parts of your body, they stay there until they have lost their emotional charge. And because we don't ever let the emotion finish, which is like 90 seconds in our body, if we let the emotion come up and move for a full 90 seconds, you don't have to carry it on for 15 years. Can you
Mhm.
handle 90 seconds? But what happened was I didn't sweat for over 20 years. I
Mm.
had my throat chakra, it was closed. I had polyp thyroid cancer. I had severe constipation for over 15 years, was taking high senna tea laxatives basically every day just to go. My body started to heal all that.
Mm.
I started to it was in the forgiveness practices of not only the people, but using Ho'oponopono to forgive myself.
Mhm.
And those moments of these waves of emotional releases that I did, the peace is such a bliss after doing that hard work. It is hard to feel those things again because they come up with the same intensity that they were stored.
Absolutely.
And if you're willing to ride it out for just a short time, there are times I would cry for weeks,
Mhm.
but I couldn't stop the tears.
Mhm.
And I just was like, something's releasing. I don't know what it is, but I'm just allowing it.
Yeah.
But my body started to sweat. My healing, my constipation, I haven't had anything for, I don't know, 12 years now. I've healed all these things because of the deep emotional work. So
Mhm.
when I went to go start losing weight, I'm like, I'm done losing weight. I'm done being a chronic dieter. So when I decided to do the last diet, and I found missing pieces that they don't teach you in weight loss.
Mm.
And when I found those things, that a lot of it is your mental, your emotional. Why are you eating? Why did you go to this? Go back to the beginning of how these patterns were formed in us as individuals, that you shouldn't ever need to have a diet. You need to
Mhm.
understand the signals that your bodies are telling you. That's like most of us don't even know what it feels like to be biologically hungry. We're
Mm.
usually insulin hungry, but to be
Mhm.
biologically hungry is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what it's like to be full because if we have too much insulin in our body, leptin doesn't even come online and say, hey, you're full, you need to stop. That's never comes online. It doesn't even activate in our body. So when we can understand this and feel like shit for a few days, you're going to feel like ass when you first start doing it because you have to rewire and you have to kind of unplug all those cords that have been plugged in.
Mhm.
And you have to feel uncomfortable for a little bit. But if you're willing to do that and start to ask different questions, the whole ball game changes.
Yeah.
And when I started to do that and the weight went off and it's been staying off,
Mm.
it's like, because I understand I can feel for a few minutes. If I'm
Yeah.
feeling angry, I don't need a piece of cake.
Yeah. Yes.
What I need to do is feel it.
Hmm.
And that has been
Yeah.
everything.
And that's really, it's funny because in our society here in the US, we have a tendency to shove it all down, like you said. Shove it all
Mhm.
down. You have to function. Your value is in what you can provide out in the world. So that doesn't give you the time to feel. That doesn't give you the time to sit down and meditate and think about these things. But really, our body is a whole being. It's not just your value of go, 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 and do, and provide. So you need to process the things that you feel so that you can help your body be a one whole being. It's not just a brain, it's not just a vascular system, it's not just my legs need to move. It is, I need to treat my whole body, my whole being. So I
It's a
love
whole
that you found
ecosystem.
that. And where did you find this that this ended up happening and you release the weight instead of losing it? Because when you lose it, you can find it.
Oh, yes. Yes. I started to really study the emotion part of it after doing my very last. I thought that Noom, I had joined up with Noom, and I thought that that was going to be my last one. And like, I've made the decision, never dieting again. This is going to be my last one. And what I found was that after everybody in our group lost the weight, every single one of them went back to the diet.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, if you did your job right, I shouldn't need to go back. So what's missing? So when I gained 8 pounds back, and I'm like, okay, something wasn't taught. Me going back to the same thing that didn't give me the lasting results, that's not going to fix it. So when I started to really do deep research, I started reading medical journals. I started reading different books, as many books as I could find, and kind of took pieces and parts from all sorts of different ones.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so I started to practice on myself. And I lost that 8 pounds, but then I lost another 15 after that. So
Mm.
I lost a total of 65 pounds. And once I understood all these other things, then it made the actual weight loss easier or
Mhm.
just sustaining it. And so I thought, okay, well, let's so I started writing down all the stuff that I had done. And I had introduced this to my stepmom. And I said, because she was also doing Noom with me. And so I was talking to her and I'm like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm looking at designing. I'm going to do this and this. And so I started to tell her all about it. And then about 2 months later, she reached out to me. She's like, I can't get this last 30 pounds off. I am so stuck. I can't get anything. It's not moving. And she goes, I'd like to try your diet. And I'm like, all right, well, you're going to have to listen to what I say. And you're going to have to want to do the work because it won't work unless you're willing to do the hard work. And she's like, I am so ready. She lost that 30 pounds and she's kept it off the last 4 years.
Mm. Amazing.
Yeah. And then she started telling everybody what she was doing, and it's like, and then people started coming back to me and go, hey, grandma did this and this and this. And it's like, well, I taught her that. And they're like, really? You're the one that told her that? Wow. But there's things that are not taught in diets. They design diets to fit everybody.
Hmm.
And we're individuals, our lived experience. Not only that, we have our human design, that there's an
Hmm.
aspect in that because some of us are not meant to eat like other people.
Right. Right.
There's been diets that I've done in the past that I actually gained weight on
Mm.
following it
Wow.
exactly. The
Wow.
Suzanne Summers diet, I don't know if you remember that one. I followed it and I gained 15 pounds.
Wow.
And I was measuring, doing everything. And I
Wow.
gained, and I'm like, okay, this is not working.
Yeah.
And having a calorie deficit, yes, that's part of it.
Mm.
But calorie deficit, I don't like to tell people to go on a calorie deficit because that automatically makes you feel like you're lacking.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go into restriction. I'm not going to get what I want. So you
It's a
immediately are
mindset.
like, you,
Yep.
yeah. So you cringe and it's like, no, let's add some things in
Mm.
before we take anything out.
Love
So
that.
let's slowly swap these things so they become natural, right?
Mhm.
And so there's another thing. It's like, in the way you talk about things, it's like I watch my husband, he's going through this diet, his own diet program. I'm like, I'm not going to coach you. No, I won't touch that.
Mhm.
But I'm watching him, and he was like 100 miles an hour. I'm going to do this, and revamped everything. Well,
Mhm.
it's slipping. I'm
It's not
watching the old
sustainable.
behaviors. No, it's not. It's like, unless you actually learn why you're doing those things. And because he would look, oh, I can't have those cookies. And he'd be like, oh my God, that looks so good. And it's just craving and just rewiring those to crave that stuff. So instead, if you were to look at it and go, maybe I've had enough cake for a lifetime. I've had
Mhm.
so much cake. Maybe I don't need any more for the rest of my life.
Mm.
Maybe. And then also looking at the food and going, instead of going, oh, I can't have that. And that, you're
Yeah.
wanting, you're look at it and go, I choose not to have that right now.
Mhm.
I can have it if I want it. I have full rights to have that. But at this current moment, I'm choosing not to eat that right now.
Yeah.
And you will notice your entire body go, oh, yeah, I don't even. And then you look at it and you're like, I don't even want it.
Yep. Yep. And
Changes everything.
I love this because it goes so much hand in hand with what you tell your brain will accept and look for to prove to you. So the more you do that work that you're talking about and adding little things in here and there and changing and making habits, as opposed to what a lot of people do, it's all or nothing. For example, people set New Year's resolutions. And I've come to
I
the point
don't.
where I hate hearing that, hate it, because every minute of every day is an opportunity to make a choice, to make a change. And when you go all in like that, like it's different saying, oh, I'm all in and I want to learn about something versus I'm all in, I'm going to completely change my behavior overnight. It's going to happen. I'm never going to go back. And then inevitably, almost everybody quits their resolutions within the first 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
nobody ends up like it's so rare to find somebody who truly just followed through on it. But I think the people that do that are they're not making this grand resolution, and they have been doing the work. And just like you're saying, it's step by step, little thing. We're going to add this, then we're going to change this. And it's something doable. It's something that your brain can start to process and take on piece by piece and start changing your identity with food and with your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. And you develop a different relationship with your body. It's like understanding, it's like, what do you need, love?
Yeah.
You don't need food.
Yeah.
Food, when you're stressed, when you're sad, when you're angry, food is the worst thing to put in
Yeah.
your body.
Hmm.
But yet
Yeah.
we're taught from a young age. It's like, oh, you're sad. You broke your, you got your little heart broken. You skinned your knee. Will a
Here's a
cookie
treat.
make you feel better?
Hmm.
So we're taught to feed it. Even as infants, somebody's crying. They're crying. Here's a boob.
It must be food, yeah.
Yeah. So
And
we're
I will
immediately
say
feeding.
I grew up in an abusive home, and I found food to be the only thing that I could control in my little brain in my little life. And so food became I didn't hoard, but I definitely like I would sneak things when nobody was looking around. I'd get home from school early and I'd be able to get the popsicle, the Reese's peanut butter cup that my mother always had hidden away in the cabinet. She didn't even eat them. She kept them for us. But it's like, okay, I didn't take one, I took five, things like that. And then it becomes so associated with every time I don't feel good, every time I feel stressed, every time I'm home alone, I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely understand that because I got my heaviest when I was with my first husband.
Hmm.
And I found that I would like if there was a birthday cake.
Hmm.
I would have the cake and I would be really good in front of everybody. And then everybody would leave and I'd be putting everything away and I would take a full big piece and I would walk around the corner and I'm eating it. And
Hmm.
I, go in the pantry and I'm like shoving things in as fast as I can. And
Hmm.
then you're thinking about food all day long.
Yeah. Hmm.
Ooh, I want more. I want more. I want more. And it's like that food noise takes
Yes.
over your joy of life.
Absolutely. And oh, it tastes so good. And I'm going to have this. And I have noticed
And then
that
you feel
I'll
like
be
crap.
like, I'm going to eat it. And then I feel like crap afterwards. Not just emotionally because, oh, I did it again, but physically, my body's like, you haven't had that in 6 months. Why did you eat it? Because I felt like I needed it, because it seemed so good, because it was like tempting me. And then I had it and I'm like, oh. now I
Yeah.
feel like crap physically and mentally. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I love to also tell people is, anybody who's on a diet, they
Mm.
always talk about, ooh, I'm going to have my cheat meal.
Yes.
And I said, don't ever call it a cheat meal
Hmm.
because you wouldn't cheat on your spouse.
Yep.
Why would you cheat on your health?
Hmm.
Because if you're going to plan with your prefrontal cortex that you're going to eat something that you don't normally do, plan
Hmm.
it, prepare for it. It's
Yes.
like a vacation. It's like, oh, let's enjoy it. Let's really embrace it. Oh, I'm like,
And own
yes,
it.
this,
Yeah.
yes.
It's okay.
So plan it 24 hours in advance. I'm
Hmm.
going to have this particular meal, this particular portion, this particular thing. I'm going to have this sweet treat. But when you sit down to eat it, really taste it,
Yeah.
really enjoy it. And so call it a joy meal. And then
Mm-hmm.
one thing that you find, if you've delayed the gratification, that a lot of times you start eating it and you're like, this is actually kind of gross. I don't even
Yep.
want it. And you
Yep.
realize because that emotional charge where you really
Hmm.
wanted it,
Yeah. Exactly.
that's not there anymore. You're a completely different person, version of yourself 24
Hmm.
hours in the future. And then you start to realize that some of the things that you really thought that you really wanted to eat those things, they start to shift.
Hmm.
You're like, well, no, just give me a salad, all over a salad with some yummy olive oil and a little bit of salt
Hmm.
and pepper. That's all I need. Good quality foods. Your body starts to crave those good things.
Hmm.
And I remember years ago, I say I'm dairy free and gluten free. I actually am intolerant to those. And so I have rashes and all sorts of things that happen to me. But I had loved Twinkies
Hmm.
years and years when I was a kid. And I thought they were just like the best thing ever. Well, they quit making them for a while, and then the new company came and bought them out, I guess. And I was like, I'm going to have a Twinkie. So I had planned that even way before I just had done all this weight loss. And when I tasted it, I could taste the preservatives in it.
Hmm.
And it just was like, how can people eat these? But they actually, when you study the food that they design in a box, they study what they put into it. So it triggers that emotional response, the endorphins to
Hmm.
make you crave more of it. And they do that on purpose so that you keep
Hmm.
buying it.
Yeah.
And so if you were to read the ingredients, it's like if it doesn't have a mother and it
Mm.
doesn't grow, and you can't buy seeds for all the ingredients in that list, or you can't raise it in your farm,
Mm.
don't put it in your body.
Yeah. Yep.
If it's not made by nature, there are some things that you can buy in a box that are completely natural and really good quality stuff. But it's like, if you can't, whatever, all these words that you can't hardly pronounce, why put them in your body? Your body has to work extra hard to try to figure out what to do with that. So it causes inflammation because it creates more white blood cells to go in there and attack this thing that is invading the body. And so
Hmm.
you get inflamed, you get
Yeah.
joint pain, you get gut problems, you get all these different side effects from putting things that are not designed to go in our body. When you stop putting them in, your body's like, it'll notice it faster when you start putting
Yeah.
them back in. If you eat something, you're like, oh, this is gross. But
Hmm.
it's interesting. And I also notice a lot of things that with people, if they're sugar eaters and they eat a lot of sugar, they're the ones that complain that they don't like water. They don't like the taste of water
Hmm.
because it doesn't taste sweet to them.
And that's really funny because when I was young, I called myself a Coca-holic, and I don't mean the drug, I mean Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And I can remember I didn't like it in the morning because it was fizzy. I had the carbonation and it didn't set well with me in the morning. So I would have orange juice in the morning, sugar, full of sugar. And
Yeah.
then the rest of the day and night, I would even have a Coke to go to bed. It would sit on my nightstand and I drank it all the time.
Oh,
That's
wow.
all I drank. And when I decided that my husband and I decided, all right, we're gonna try to have a baby. I was like, I don't want to drink this right now. I want to not drink it during my pregnancy. And so I went to a nutritionist and she helped me with working off the Coke And when I went to drink it again for the first time after I had had him, and it was months later, maybe even a year later, I was out and I was at an event and all they had was water and Coke. And I was like, well, I guess I'll try the Coke. And it was so disgusting. And I have
Mhm.
not had it since. Now, that
Good
doesn't
for
mean I
you.
don't drink soda occasionally, and I'm trying not to have any of it for the most part. I'll drink ginger ale, that's like my go-to, but I still, like, I didn't drink water. Now, that's pretty much all. I have a water or my big cup that I refill with water all the time, and that's pretty much all I ever drink now. But
Yeah,
you're right, like, I thought water was gross.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting, and I love water. I mean, I've always been a water drinker, and I've never been a soda drinker. When we were younger, of course, I was in a really big family, and so soda pop was a very rare treat.
Mm-hmm.
And I everybody would talk about Pepsi and Coke, and I was like, oh, that must be really good. And I never liked it. I never liked the cola flavor, never liked Pepsi. It just was like, oh, why do people drink this? I couldn't understand. But I did love a good root beer,
Mm-hmm.
and probably 7 Up or Sprite were the only go-tos, but I hated the fizz.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
would get a soda and I would shake it up and get rid of all the fizz
Yeah,
and get rid of it and then just drink it like that. And after a while, it was like, this isn't even fun to drink it, and it
yeah,
just
yeah.
so, but occasionally, a root beer, but I
Yeah.
haven't had a soda pop in probably 15 years, if
That's great. What I
not
try to
more.
do now is I'll just drink seltzer water if I want that
Yeah,
carbonation. And if I really feel like I want something in it, I'll a splash cranberry juice and a lime. When I first started, my nutritionist suggested the soda water and cranberry juice. And
cocktail.
so I had to have like half and half because it didn't taste sweet. It didn't taste, well, eventually that tasted too sweet to me. And so now I'll just drink seltzer water by itself. And I do that rarely at this point too, because the water makes me feel good. So that's great. Now, I want to know you happen to talk a little bit about your body has an internal GPS. And I want you to just tell us a little bit about what that is and what does it actually mean in real life.
Well, I always like to tell people that your body has the GPS because it will guide you where it needs to go. It's your, it's like your intuition
Hmm.
that, when you're driving down the road, to go right or left if you're going a destination. And sometimes it's like you don't know where you're going, so you put the GPS destination in the GPS.
Hmm.
But it can't get you there unless it knows where you are. Where's your starting point?
Right.
And in order to, like Louise Hay would say, honey, if you're gonna clean the house, you need to see where the dirt is.
Hmm.
And so I love to use that because if you are going to go on a health journey, if you're going to go on an emotional journey, if you're going to go anywhere, you have to know where the dirt is. You have to know what your starting point is. So if you don't get to know where your starting point is, it's hard to get where you need to go. So being honest with yourself, listening,
Hmm.
learning to listen to the cues, but also if you can establish your starting point, then you can use your GPS to get you where you need to go. So if you are going to lose weight and you want to lose weight,
Hmm.
you need to be honest with what you're doing. Because a lot of times I'll talk to people and they're like, oh, I'm drinking plenty of water. I'm like, okay, well, how much are you actually
Hmm.
drinking? Well, I'm drinking 60 ounces. What are you, 5?
Yeah.
That's not enough for your body.
At one point, I was doing strength training, and when you do any kind of physical activity like that, you're expelling a lot of your water by sweating and just exerting yourself. I was drinking 135 ounces of water a day, and people were like,
That's
how
awesome.
do you do that? And I'm like, it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not flushing the water through your body, your kidneys are not going to be functioning as
Hmm.
well. Every organ in your body is not going to be functioning. And I find this fascinating is people, they complain, well, I have to pee. That's a good sign.
It's really good.
But there's also, if you're peeing like every 10 minutes, that could be a medical issue. That
Right.
could be something different. But if you, and a lot of people don't know how to even program their bodies. Like you can program your body to go at certain times.
Hmm.
Like at night, it's like, do you always get up to pee? There's certain things that you could do, but if you're not drinking enough water, the rest of the system is not going to work. If you're not getting enough sleep, the rest of the system is not going to work. If you're not getting the right nutrition, the rest of the system is not going to work. If you're not
If
moving
you,
your body,
yeah.
the rest of the system is not going to
And
work.
if you're not emotionally regulated, the rest of the system is not going to work. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I have the shift method, which is sleep, hydration, integration, fuel, and training. It all
Mm,
works together. If you're
love it.
not doing all of it in balanced ways,
Mm,
the whole system, you get a rock in that cog, and you're going to find if you haven't got a full night's sleep,
mm,
your cravings are going to go up. You're going to feel like you're starving. You're not going to be a very nice person. You're going to
mhm,
have all these things that are not working as well. You may have more inflammation in your body. You may actually gain weight if you didn't
mhm.
get a good
Yep.
night's sleep.
And it's
Because
bad for
people are
your
like, oh, my
brain.
scale went up. I'm like,
It's
how
so
did you
bad for
sleep?
your brain. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll ask them, did you sleep last night? How much
Mm,
water have you drank? What did you eat yesterday that could have caused inflammation? Did you even walk around? Did you even do anything? It's like go back. Let's see what it's the number on the scale is simply information.
mhm.
People are like, oh my God, I'm up 2 pounds. I'm like, yes, but if you look on a smart scale, you're only up like 0.02 in fact. The scale number doesn't mean what you think it
Right.
means.
Right.
And we attach so much worth to that
Mhm.
number. It's like
Yeah.
throw away the regular scale, get a
Yeah.
smart scale and look at those numbers.
Mhm.
I weigh myself
Absolutely.
every single day because I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I keep on point. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go up 3 or 4 pounds and I'm like, all right, what have I been doing?
Yeah.
Let's look at it.
It's information. And not only that, but do measurements, do photos to see because you could be walking tons more than you had been. And you're like, why am I gaining weight? Well, you're actually gaining muscle.
Yeah, if your pants are looser,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. There's
you're
so many more
lifting
pieces.
heavier,
Yeah.
big difference. So you need different perspective of looking at things. And so when we look at our GPS,
Mm,
that is your starting point.
hmm. Love it.
Be completely honest.
Yeah.
And then you can go, okay, now I can really see what I'm doing. And you're like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
I need to change the oil in my car before I go on this trip.
Yeah.
I need to put some more gas in my car. I need to pump up the tires. Just like you get to
Yeah.
know before you go on a trip, you need to know what tools you need.
Yep.
You need to make sure that your vehicle is functioning
Mm,
to get you there.
yeah. This is
So
amazing information.
that's my
I just love
GPS.
this. So, what do you think is one of the hardest things about learning to trust your body again that people either don't talk about or don't realize?
Learning to trust the body is not an overnight thing.
Mm,
It is really being able to be okay with feeling
mhm.
because it all comes down to feelings. Because if you don't want to face the feelings, and we're taught to shut those off everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
don't let your crazy show. It's like don't cry. No,
Mhm.
I don't need to see that kind of emotion. We're shamed for so many emotions that we
Yeah.
feel like it makes us a bad person
Yeah.
because we are feeling these things.
And it's so funny because it's really a lot about your identity and how worthy you feel and kind of how you see yourself.
Yeah. And you don't lose your value if you feel angry. Like it makes
Mhm.
you human. It makes you so beautiful and perfect. It's like, oh, you're angry. Oh, let's turn that shit up, man. Let's feel it. Let's go punch that. Do we need to scream? My granddaughter
Mhm.
has been coming over to hang out with me,
Mhm.
and she has her 5-month-old little baby. And oh, I lose my shit over that baby.
Mhm.
She has gone through a lot of trauma. And when she was here, she was telling me about a lot of this stuff. She's never had a safe place to even talk about any of this stuff. So I've been working with her. And one of the things that she was telling me this stuff, and I could feel that she was just so many emotions and she was masking it. I could see underneath.
Mhm.
I'm like, you need to scream. And she's like, no, no, like it's not safe. And I said, no, we're going to scream. And I started screaming. right at her. And I'm like, ah, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. And she's looking at me and I'm like, come on, come on, come on, let's scream. And I kept just, let's do it. And she started
Mm-hmm.
screaming and screaming and screaming. And I saw her whole entire body drop. There
Mm-hmm.
was a release. And then she looked at me and she goes, oh, that was really nice. I'm like, that's the kind of stuff that you need to be able to say, be safe to do. Because if we lock that stuff in, and I noticed her whole entire aura was different. She was lighter, her face looked clearer. And she went running out to her boyfriend and said, guess what I just did?
Mm-hmm.
And she was so excited because she immediately felt that release. And she's never been able to have that safe part to go, this emotion is valid. What I went
Mm-hmm.
through sucked. And I need
Yeah.
to recognize that it did not feel good to go through that,
Yeah.
but I'm not going through it now.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, and then it also, there is something very valuable that you need to do is to trigger and let your body know that it's safe to do it.
Yes.
And not everything is going to, there's nervous system tools that I use that don't work for everybody. There's a whole
Mm-hmm.
handful of them, but not the same one is going to work for everybody. Some things that I teach my clients that triggers in their body that it's safe to release, tells your body that you're safe, won't work for everybody. There's, it's
Mm-hmm.
like there's the tapping of the shoulders. This one actually drives me nuts. I can't, it makes my body not respond at all. But shaking as hard as I possibly can, that triggers my body that it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
But you can ask your body if it's the right one that's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And no, there's muscle testing that you can do that asks your body. Different ways of moving your body will actually let your body know, yes, this one works for me, this one
Yeah.
doesn't. And so we work with that. It's like if you trigger your body, tell your body that right now we're going to do this hard thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want you to know that you're in a safe place and it's okay to bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
It will be easier.
Yeah.
And then when the release comes, then it's like a little bit of bliss. So if any
Yeah.
mother has ever had their child, they know the hardest part is right before that baby is born. And instantly there's bliss because you get to hold that baby in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm. And it makes the pain
get to
worth it,
look at that
everything.
beautiful thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like that in almost anything. You do any emotional work, it's hard right when it gets where you think you can't
Yep.
handle it anymore.
Yep.
That's where your breakthrough is going to come through.
Yeah. And often we get blocks put in front of us. And sometimes it's that because we perceive it as a block, that it's like, if just get past that, I could find the most beautiful thing ever, but we let our fear hold us back because what if? What if it turns out to be something that I've experienced before and I hated how I felt?
Yeah.
And so I love how you're really truly integrating the entire body in this and teaching people to learn how to feel in their body, learn how to experience what it means to feel, what it means to say, oh, maybe I don't need that. Maybe this is the right thing for me. Maybe this isn't the right thing for me. And learn from that place because when you change your body and your brain to see those things, you can change everything. So one of the things that I learned from one of my coaches that I love, and she always says, "Don't be shoulding all over yourself." And I just love it
Yes,
so much. So
exactly.
tell me something that women may think that they should be doing for their body, because that's what society has said. This is what you should look like or be doing for your body that you actually would tell them to stop doing.
Well, we're told that you should eat this way,
Mm,
that you should stop eating this way, that you should exercise this way. Those things are garbage because you need to eat how your body
mhm,
needs to eat. You need to listen to what your body says. Oh, yes, that lights me up. That feels good in my body. Because what I eat, I have a lot of people. In fact, I had a 4-year-old come up to me one time and go, you eat a lot of weird stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I do. But it's like the things that I eat may make you feel sick and gross and bloated. And what you may eat, it's the foods that respond to your body are going to be different. I don't tell you you should do anything
Mm-hmm.
because, yeah, we don't want to should on ourselves, but it's
Right.
like, listen to your body. If
Mm-hmm.
I say something and your body says, yes, then try it. Sometimes that yes may turn into a no later, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to know if that's going to work for you
Right.
unless you say, okay, I'm willing to try this to see if it works for me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when I did the Suzanne Summers diet, I was like, I'm going to follow this exactly. I'm going to lose that weight. It wasn't designed for me.
Right.
It was very obvious it wasn't designed for me. Why I
Mm.
kept going and gained 15 pounds, I don't know. But, that was 20 some years ago. But the thing is
Well,
that
you think it
I,
should work, right? Because they
yes,
say so.
because I'm doing it exactly like they
Mm-hmm.
say. And I was eating all the wrong foods. And the things that were on that diet were not meant for my body.
Mm-hmm.
My body was saying, no, I can't
Yeah.
eat dairy. I can't eat wheat. I'm highly allergic to wasabi.
Mm-hmm.
If I eat too many high histamine foods, my body has full blown temper tantrums. I break out in hives like you wouldn't believe. In fact, I ended up in the ER a few weeks ago because my ear swelled up so big it
Oh,
split open
oh, wow.
because I was eating too much of the high histamine foods, which some diets say you eat all this stuff. This is all good for you. Then there's another diet that tells you, no, don't eat that stuff. That's really bad for you. They're basing it on like one or two people.
Right.
You're not one or two people.
I
You are
love that you're
unique.
pointing out the uniqueness of every single body because we're all different, and that's what makes this world beautiful. It makes us super unique and special.
Yeah, there's no one like you.
Yeah.
There's no one like me.
Mhm.
I mean, how cool is that?
It's so cool.
I mean, each person is such a beautiful soul and
Mhm.
they're got so many shoulds that have been put on them that they don't see that beauty in themselves.
Yeah.
And I want them to see that beauty, to be able to look in the mirror and go, I like you. You're pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
I like hanging out with
that's
myself.
the best. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what would you say to the woman who's feeling like her body has betrayed her because she's not understanding how unique her body is, what the right things are for her particular body, and also her emotions?
Well, I can understand how it feels like that.
Mm,
I completely, because your body feels like it's sabotaging you when it hasn't been listened to. It's been trying to talk to you for years and your body loves you like you would not believe. It's trying to keep you alive. It is trying to compensate. It is trying to listen to what you're trying to do. It's trying so hard and working 24 hours a day to try to take care of you. And the ideas and the thoughts that come into our head, probably 90% of them are not even true. And it's still
mm,
working overtime to take care of you. What
yeah.
a beautiful, I mean, look at your hands. You don't even have to think how your blood pumps. You don't have to think. You don't have to tell your body to pump the blood. You don't have to tell your body to do anything. But when you start to consciously decide to how you're going to talk to your body, the entire relationship
Hmm.
changes.
Yeah.
Go, oh, I'm going to choose for right now not to put this into you. I'm not
Hmm.
going to put that in and let's see how I feel. Let's start to relate. Let's date ourselves. I
Hmm.
love to tell people, go date your diet.
Yeah.
Take it out on a date. Take yourself out on a date. Give it a little bit of foreplay. Give it a little bit of, it's like, ooh, let's pay attention. Let's
Hmm.
smell the food. Let's pay attention to how we're building it. Let's pay attention to it. Let's give it the attention like you're a first date. What do you like? What are your desires? Really pay attention and spend some time with your body. You don't get to leave until you leave this earth plane and leave your body behind. Why not love the body you're in?
Right.
And if you can't, find one small thing that you can.
Hmm.
If you look in the mirror and you cannot look in the mirror and say, I love you, because a lot of women can't.
Hmm. I've
They
been
look in the
there.
mirror and they're like, it feels sick for me to say, I love you.
Yeah. We
So
feel
find
like it's
something you like.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So look in the mirror and go, okay, I like my eyes, or I have nice hair,
Hmm.
or I have a body. If you have to
Hmm.
be completely general, I have a body. It
I'm
gets me around.
alive. Yeah.
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 Even if
And
it,
that's
but start small.
yeah, it's very powerful to do that and have the moments where, it's like affirmations. Affirmations do work.
If
You
you
have to
believe it.
understand why they work because what you feed, I said this earlier, what you feed in your brain is what your brain accepts. And so, yeah, okay, it doesn't feel necessarily true if you have no money at all and you say, I am a multi-millionaire, but here's the thing, you can start with a small thing. Like, okay, I have enough money to feed myself, or whatever it might be. Instead of I love myself, well, you know what? I did a good thing today. I really helped this person. Whatever it is that you need to tell yourself, that's a small thing. So, whatever
Yes.
little step you need to make, and then it just grows and grows because confidence comes by doing, and confidence comes by proving to yourself that you did and you could, and what can I do next? So, it's the same thing with loving yourself, loving your body, and taking care of that body. Taking care of that body. I have found this so profound. I love this. I think we're going to have another conversation because we're already at the end and I could keep going and going. And I know we both have meetings that we have to attend later. But my final question I want to ask you is what does living a life beyond BS mean to you?
Oh,
Mm.
well, I'm going to be 55 this year. And I've really looked back on my life of things that I've experienced. And one of the things that I found the most profound is, and living without BS. Oops, I knocked over my magic little giraffe here. Is not worrying so much or even being concerned about what you think other people are thinking about you. Because I guarantee you, you get into a room, nobody's thinking about you.
Mhm.
Nobody is thinking about you the way you think they are.
Yeah.
And that was something that I struggled with as a younger child and throughout high school. I was always concerned, oh, they're whispering over there, they must be talking
Hmm.
about me.
Oh,
They they
yeah, I
they
feel
looked at me
that.
funny. Oh, yeah, that they must be
Mhm.
talking about me.
Yeah.
They don't like me because they gave me a funny look. And I spent so much time trying to be the person I wanted them to like that
Mhm.
I found that after a while, it was like, I don't even like that person. Why would I want to be friends with that person if I'm not showing up how I want to be? And when I found that I was in my natural energy, that I wasn't trying to be liked. I was genuinely liking others. And I would like, oh my gosh, look at how beautiful you are. And I was seeing people's beauty and I was pointing it out. And I'm like, do you know how beautiful you are? Oh my God, I love that outfit. And just going out there and just giving. And
Mhm.
then you start to notice that feeling that builds up inside. It's like it just to be able to do something, even if you pay for the coffee for the person behind you and they have no idea that you're doing it. You don't have to know what their reaction was. It's like it just felt good to be able to give something. You don't even have to pay for something to be able to just go up to a stranger. And it's interesting to see how something you say to someone may completely shift their entire perspective. Funny note, not funny. One my best friend, when my husband died, I called my best friend. And when I called her, she was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "I need you to understand." I said, "Mike just committed suicide." And
Mhm.
she immediately came over. She helped me with so many things. And I had no idea the effect that me calling her first had on her life. I didn't find out for 5 years
Wow.
that because I called her and I needed her so bad because I was barely functioning. I no sleep, no all the stress. I needed someone to kind of take over and take care of all the things.
Mhm.
She was my first call. I found out later that she was contemplating taking her own life.
Wow.
And because I needed her so bad, she says, I felt I had a purpose again.
Mhm.
And in those moments, we're not thinking that, oh, I'm going to save her life. No, that person is the person I need. And so it was like that our internal guidance system will we pull magnetic energies together where they're needed.
Mhm.
And if we're
Yeah.
supposed to talk, if we're supposed to connect, that
Mhm.
sometimes going out there and just sharing when you're feeling good, Go
Mm-hmm.
share that with someone. Just tell them they're nice, they're beautiful, that you appreciate them. Send them a text, send them something, and then notice how it feels inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's magic.
Yeah.
And you can
It's
change someone's life.
connection. Yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it is. It's truly beautiful. And when you connect with somebody, even if it's just for a moment, and you can both feel the energy of that connection, that can change everything.
Yeah.
So
It's
you
magic.
did
I don't know if
a
I answered your question, but that's what came up.
You did. And you know what I love about that is you did something for yourself that you needed, which kudos to you because you needed it. And so many times we don't say, I need this. We don't let ourselves be vulnerable. We think that we have to show the world this strong, stone-faced wall when that's not how we thrive. That's not how we connect. And you did something for her. And what an incredible situation for both of you.
Well, and another thing that I have found in this stage of life too is that how you feel when you give or help someone, when someone asks you for help,
Mm.
that feeling that you get, and you're like, oh, you need my help? Yes,
Mhm.
I would love to help you. And you love to do that, right? And that feeling, but then if you were like, oh, I can't ask for help, it's like, why deny someone else that feeling to be able
Right?
to help you back? You know what it feels like to be able to help someone. And if you're denying that you think you're so stoic and you're so strong and you can handle everything. I was that
Mhm.
way for a long time. I
Yeah.
never asked for help. Very few people knew that I was struggling in my marriage.
Mhm.
Very few people knew what was really going on. And so when he did take his life, people were like, well, I envied your marriage because I showed up happy. I showed up like I was strong. I showed up how I wanted to be. And when they found out what was actually happening behind the closed doors, and I never told anybody, they were shocked
Yeah.
because it never occurred to me to ask for help.
Mhm.
And so that's something that I have actively worked on. I
Yeah.
love to ask for help, but I also love to give help.
Yeah. And that's what you said is if you're not asking for the help, you're denying yourself, but you're also denying that other person the opportunity to make a difference and feel good about helping you and feel good about life. Like you said, you reached out to
Yes.
your friend and she actually said she had been contemplating taking her own life and that now she had a purpose. Just one reach out changed her life. So it's incredibly, incredibly
Mhm.
powerful. So I want to thank you so much, Shelly, for being here today and being so open and sharing so much of yourself. And I feel that authenticity coming through, and it's so beautiful.
I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I want to thank you all too for sharing this space with me and with Shelly today. I want you to know that you have the power to choose differently every day, every moment. I hope that you now take this and go live fully, freely, and unapologetically. Your life beyond BS starts now. I'm so grateful you were here today. Remember, your peace, joy, and happiness aren't found in the BS. They're found in your choices. If this episode spoke to you, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe, and share it with a friend. For ways to connect or work with me, check the show notes or visit heathermcnally.com. Until next time, keep choosing you and keep living your life beyond BS.